You are listening to a recording of the Pathfinder Tales of Lost Omens, the first of many, written by the absolutely wonderful and amazingly talented Rachel Cruz. The first line in the description should be a link towards the original blog post, and then the second line, a link to Rachel Cruz's personal card. Please check both of those out. So, let's get on with it, shall we? Flowers. Tef grumbled as he trudged over the uneven ground. The tended dirt path was long gone by now, and his boots felt every bump of root and pinch of pebble. In the distance, well past the canopy and far out of sight, thunder growled. The boy pulled his jacket tighter, hoping the storm would miss them tonight. He still had one more task before he could return home. Gathering split-heart flowers. The spiky red flowers were a favorite of Mom's, and they had just started to burst, revealing their perfect crimson seeds. The seeds fight off mosquitoes. The leaves you boil for fevers. Also, Tef noted, Mom liked to turn the petals into a paste to deepen the shade of her lips. He even tried it once himself, but found it altogether unpleasant. It smelled funny, and he didn't like how dark it made his mouth. He liked his lips just fine the way they were, thank you. Why did girls even like lip color? He arrived at the patch of split heart and drew out his gathering pouch, selecting only the ripest of the prickly flowers. He gathered each with a pinch of his fingers and a quiet word of thanks to the earth. Flower picking. Tef rolled his eyes. This is not what heroes did. The thought lingered as Tef wound his way back home. Real heroes got to solve mysteries, fight evil creatures, and save the day. Someday he'd be a hero, like the ones in his favorite book, The Grand Adventures of the Golden Wayfarers. He'd be fast, like Solitaire Windblown, dancing from rooftop to rooftop, his arrows always finding their mark. He'd be strong, like Ukul the Just, defending the helpless with a swing of his mighty sword, and he'd be wise and magical, like Zudrani Sunborn, summoning the elements themselves to help him win the day. Tef painted his fingernails silver so they glittered when he moved his hands. Just like Zudrani's hands sparkled when he cast spells. He even knew what his familiar would be. A fey dragon, with one of its insectile wings blue and the other green, just like its eyes would be. Just like Tef's were. With his heroic heart and brave soul, he'd solve the world's mysteries and save the day. And everyone would finally welcome him in the city instead of stare, distrusting. He wouldn't have to keep a low profile or avoid the city at all. Instead, they'd build him a tower of his own right in the middle of town, and his dad would never have to leave home again. He'd make them welcome his mom too, and make everyone apologize to them for everything, for the ugly names they called him, for the horrible accusations they leveled at her. The air grew colder, as did the boy's mood. Tef knew in his stomach that the storm would arrive before dawn. Best not to dawdle. He skipped his usual extra stop at the eldest Annan tree, and instead retraced his steps to the dirt path that led home. The cottage, just within the wood's edge, had been carefully built between the trees, with wild grasses and long stalks of cultivated herbs, bending lazily in the chilling wind. The air was thick with the smell of herbs, intermingled with the sharp, stinging scent of the coming rains. It was usually a comfort, usually a feeling of safety. Right now, though, it was off. The heavy front door was halfway open, and no light could be seen from within. The decorative wreath and spiraling horn they kept on the door had been knocked off and lay, unloved, in the dirt. The comfort of being home disappeared, sinking heavily into his stomach with the weight of fear. What happened? Where was Mom? Did she need help? The butterflies in his stomach roared with the excitement pounding in his chest. This was his moment, the first of many. He could be a hero if he could just push back his fear. Steeling himself, Tef crouched low like Celadir might, moving slowly, carefully. He approached the cracked door, senses alert for anything that was off. One step, another. And then he was just at his door. What would Celadir do? Right. Check for traps, tripwires, sounds of monsters past the doors. There was nothing. Silence lay in wait just beyond a stillness that made him hold his breath to quiet his own heartbeat. Fear was okay. Even Dad had said so. Fear was okay as long as it didn't stop you completely. He reached for the spiraling horn, the only potential weapon nearby, and his fingertips winked silver at him. His magic was there with him. It seemed to settle his heart and bring additional resolve. He knew this place inside and out. He would be okay. He would find whatever had broken into his home and bring it to justice. One day, I will save everyone. Let's start with this. His fingers tightened around the curled horn, and with a mighty roar to make Ukul just proud, Teft knocked the door completely open and charged inside, ready to fight. The burst of sound startled the large figure shadowed in the corner, and it jumped to attention, drawing itself to its full, massive height and towering over the boy. The shadows rolled off of a bent, pock-marked hide. The wrinkled, gnarled face loomed large, glowing green eyes placed low on the face and emphasizing a hunched back and strong muscles. Magic gathered at two gnarled, meaty fists. And Mighty Tef screamed a high-pitched scream. So did the figure. The book the figure held flared as an illumination spell revealed the craggy, lined face of the green hag made plain. Tef barked out a surprised yelp and launched himself at it, dropping the curved horn and winding his arms tight around her. The hag's arms matched the boy's, wrapping him up tightly. With the shock melting from her face, she squeezed him. "Sprout, you scared me." "Mom," gasped Tef, "I saw the door, and it wasn't closed right, and the wreath, and the knocker on the ground, and—" Mom chuckled softly at the stream of words flowing from Tef's mouth. There, Sprout, all is well. I was just resting a bit. The cat probably just knocked the wreath loose trying to get in." She looked around, her vivid emerald eyes landing on her familiar. The spindly monkey drew the edge of the tablecloth around himself and chittered guiltily. "See, there you go," Mom said. "Did you bring the split heart? Your father's sure to be home soon." Tef nodded, handing over his collecting pouch and immediately starting for the bookshelf. He was safe, Mom was safe, and the grand adventures of the Golden Wayfarers called to him. Mom croaked, relighting the room's mirrored lantern and letting her illumination spell fade. "Bath first, story time later." "Mom," whined Tef, giving up the path to the bookshelf even as he complained. Several scrubbings later, after a change into fresh clothes, Father was home and the family basked in the glow of an overfull dinner table and a warm fire in the hearth. Mom always made fantastic dinners, but they especially shone when Dad came home. The flatbreads were rolled tight and sliced extra thin. She'd roasted peppers and tomatoes, skewer them between perfect, tender squares of meat. Roast honey squash sweetened the air and lent a mouth-watering contrast to the sharp spice of the peppered rice. And for dessert, hot cassava cakes with cold custard. It almost made it worth the icky stuff. Teff knew he should be happy. Not everyone had parents who loved each other so much. Not everyone even had parents. And especially someone like him, Callow May, with a human father and hag mother. The relationship that birthed the changeling was something special, something genuine. That didn't stop him from being grossed out every time Dad came home, all lovey-dovey, kissy-sissy. Night it had been flowers and a poem. From 7 bright meadows I gathered you flowers, from 7 great trees I gathered the dew, and long have I been gone, just counting the hours, and following my heart's call here, home to you. After clearing the food from the table, Teff grabbed the grand adventures of the Golden Wayfarers and hightailed it into the garden. The rain hadn't started yet, he could still get a few stories in before they called him for bedtime. He lit his lantern and settled onto the cracked stone bench near the weeper's tree. Partway through the second story, the tree groaned, suddenly snapping the boy's attention as something at the edge of the garden erupted from the ground, twisting, sharp, and half hidden by the shadows. The thing creaked and crackled, sinews twisting in the dim light of the boy's lantern. And then it was silent again. And not for the first time today, Teff's heart raced as he faced down a potential danger hiding in the weeper tree's folds. He carefully aimed his lantern in the direction of the thing, and paused as he tried to understand the sight. It was a tree, but not. Spiraling grains of branches twisted about themselves over and over, like a strange series of vines making one large, tall structure. The wood looked old and petrified, as though it hadn't just been born from nothing. Was it a tooth? It couldn't be. It was definitely wood. He knew that much at first glance. A giant, petrified, wooden tooth, swirling and vein-like. No. Something in his mind insisted. Not just a tooth. Something far better. A mystery. Real heroes solve mysteries, fight evil and save the day. Let it start with this. Eyes wide, heart pounding excitedly, Teff stepped toward the tree. So, I hope you enjoyed. As stated above, this was written by the wonderful Rachel Cruz, who, has done a lot of different work within the TTRPG space, be it Conan Adventures in the Age of Undreamed, RuneQuest, the Dune TTRPG, I think it's called Adventures in the Imperium. But yeah, go check out her work. It's all really good. And, just know that somebody cares. And yeah, the world sucks right now. But you can always try to make it better. Be safe, folks, and be good people.